Did I tell you my design? I was going to take all the branches off.
I was like, wait.
Jim Smith was my teacher, so.
And just short down.
Yeah. All right, now here's something. If this was my tree, it would not be this tall. It would be about here. And then I would let this grow. But that's kind of a boring demonstration, so I'm not going to do that. Although I told you, I just need one tool. Yeah. But if we look, and we took our hands and kind of, I mean, where does it stop? Somewhere about here. When we do this, it keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going. So generally speaking, to me, this is too tall a tree for how it is styled at this time. But some people like a taller tree, a little more feminine, a little more graceful. Not everybody likes those short, wide, fat sumo type of trees. I kind of come to like them. Yeah. However, I do like bunch-in as well, so I go both ways.
So you just like everything.
I just like it all.
I just love it all.
All right, one of those two is going to be used. And then most of this big stuff way up here is too thick for how high it is. So much of that will be just taken off.
Going right to the trunk, leaving stubs, worried about diabetics, anything
No.
like that, just chop it like it's hot, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep it in terms you know.
I just whack it hard.
All right, I gotta stop. Gosh, why do you always do that? Okay, it's going straight to hell.
With my tools.
Dangerous.
Yeah, that'll be the last time I'm invited back. All right, so for folks, if you notice here, see how much this is healed over already. I mean, that's pretty, I don't know, what is that, maybe 2 years of growth? So this will scar over real easily.
So when you took the branches off, you don't have to do anything about it, it'll just heal over pretty quick?
Yeah, I don't put any paste or anything like that. Generally speaking, paste is better than no paste. But you don't have to do it. Yeah, I used to think that no paste was just as equal as paste, but it really isn't. One of my friends and I, we kind of did, I'll put it on mine and you don't on yours, and it heals faster with some level of paste.
And it protects a little bit, and for me, it makes me feel like I'm doing something to the tree.
I've noticed though, sometimes when I put paste on, I do not get, well, I should say this the other way. If I don't put paste on it, I get tons of, like if you're looking to get, buds all around, I find without paste, I get more buds than I do when I put paste on.
Maybe your paste is covering over where some of the buds are supposed to come out. Because the paste is supposed to be on the inside of the, and not on the outside of it, yeah. All it is that little ring of cambium is what you're trying to keep from drying out.
If that separates from the dead wood, it just takes too long to grow, and it does too.
All right, so we got an ugly nub here. So what I'm going to try to do is make a little cut and try to find some taper. I don't have my carving tools.
I can't reach it, but.
You got your carving tools, Adam?
My squirrel likes to put my cut paste in a nice little pile in the corner of the plot after it runs off the tree.
All right, so somebody was living in there.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a little hollowed out in there, and someone was in there living. So ideally what we would do is we would taper this down into kind of like a teardrop point here, and that'll give it time to scar itself over. Now that angle that I told you not to cut at, I had to cut at it just to make taper. Normally, I wouldn't have done that. But what has happened is whoever had this let too many tops grow, and now that's what developed the reverse taper. He had a good flat cut, and if he just let this one grow, then it would have been fine. But there was too many at the top, and it just made that swell up too much.
Now, if you let that top piece grow,
Mhm.
just really let it grow, could you,
What's going to happen is it's going to grow fat here way faster than down here. Remember what I was telling you about when you cut the top? It changes. When we want to taper in, we let it grow and do not cut it off. When you cut the top off, now the energy is going to go right here and not as much here. So you're going to get really fat here and less fat here. So it changes the dynamic of where it fattens up. So when you're trying to taper it in, do not cut the top. Do not. I got one that's 9 feet tall and I haven't cut it yet. It's going to get cut summertime, but you got to let it grow. When you cut it is when this is half the thickness of that. That's when you cut it.
so by letting that grow, would that do anything as far as even like the whole base, the trunk, or anything like that?
Not much.
It's not.
No.
If you had never, if that had never been cut, and you let it grow,
Then the whole tree's going to get equally. Yeah.
so at
It
this
changes,
point,
when you cut a leader off, it changes how that growth grows on that trunk. So when you're letting it grow here, you're gonna get fatter here than anywhere else along that shoot. When you cut it off, now you're gonna get fatter here than here. So it'll get fatter, but now you're wasting time growing all this crap up here just to get this back there because you're too impatient to wait for it to grow the right size. So be patient, cut it back when it is time. Now sometimes things get damaged or broke and those kind of things happen. But generally speaking, try to let it grow if you can. And then also when you're making the scar, let's see, how am I gonna? All right, so I'm trying to carve some of this out here. What I want to do, all right, this is live, this is dead. So what I want to do is right at the edge, all around the perimeter, make it a little deeper than right at this edge. That allows the scar tissue that comes over, it goes down and tucks in there instead of lumps up. That way you get a better looking scar.
So you concave it?
Pardon me?
You concave it?
You make a little cutout. So I guess if that's on the side, it would be kind of like that. It would be a little lower. That way, as the scar tissue comes over, it has some place to go, versus if it's flat, it's going to be more lumpy.
Reverse taper too.
Right. So that's true with just about any tree. You always want to make a little bit of a concave out of there so it allows the scar tissue to work its way back in there. So I'm trying to use a pull knife and trying to get a little bit of taper in here. Yeah, I'm pulling away from myself.
Back to the, no, we don't.
Also, in a scar itself, the top part of the scar heals faster than the bottom part of the scar. So make a little more drastic cut at the top because it's going to heal back better than at the bottom. And typically you want the scars to come down to a point like a teardrop. As the fluids are going up the trunk, if it comes to a flat area, it takes a lot harder to go around to come back up. If you come to a point, they can just kind of work their way around it and work their way up. So it's faster healing. And that's true of any tree.
I've heard somebody once say when using knob cutters, you always want to go the same thing. You want to go, if you're doing a knob cut on something, you're going in the direction of the flow versus the other way. For the, I guess the same reason.
Probably. What I notice is a lot of folks will want to cut a side branch off with their concave cutter like this versus perpendicular to it. If you do it this way and go too deep, now you do that kind of cut versus if you do it this way, you're not going to pull up any more bark. So your point's perpendicular. That's the way the cut should be, so you don't get in too deep. Otherwise you can, pardon me?
Does that apply to elms?
Any tree that you're cutting on. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is just general information. I should have brought my Dremel tool. I knew that would go fast. These are wonderful. Oh, there's some eggs in there too. Yeah.
So hungry.
What, is that an insect? Was that an insect?
Yeah, there was ants in there.
Oh.
They were kind of living up in the top here.
Everybody grabs it as well.
I'm a scramble. I'm a scramble.
I'm like a tool, monkey with a tool. Hey, ants are a delicacy in some countries.
Disgusting in others.
Yeah. Well, look at lobster. Who the heck decided that was going to be a nice meal? As ugly as those things are.
Aren't they related to scorpions?
They're a bug. Is what I say.
Well, I call lobster cockroaches.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely a bug for sure.
Yes.
Well, same thing with catfish.
Yeah.
They're delicious. Have you ever seen what
I
pigs
think that'll be kind of cool.
Well, hollow stuff up in a tree is not all that cool.
No?
Nah, it's just, and we're really trying to hide that, honestly, more than that. But it may, over time, heal up some more.
It's pretty dead.
We have to do some carving or that.
It just, I don't think it's gonna add to the overall design of the tree if you did carve it. Because if this is the front, what you're doing is carving the side, which you can't really see.
So I
So,
mean, get the dead wood out.
yeah, if you want to practice, that's a good one. When I used to learn to carve, I'd always start at the back of the tree. That way I didn't care if I screwed up.
What happens if you turn the tree around and make that